Hi everyone, welcome to another video after so many days. Apologies for that. Today in this video we are going to learn something interesting, and of course it should be related to New Relic. And today we are going to develop our own log agent which will send some information from our this Windows computer to New Relic in the New Relic log table. Okay, so before starting, let me tell that what are the things we need and what are the things we are going to send. So it will be our log agent, and I would say customized log agent. So for that we would need the help of log API. Log API means New Relic's log API, and for that, for taking the URL, you can just directly go to Google and search for New Relic log API, and you'll be getting the links for different regions. I'll just increase this zoom value for my browser. So here you can see we have the US endpoint, we have the Europe endpoint. So for our case we will be using the US endpoint. Now the main question is, what are we going to send as log? So here, just for an example, we will be sending some basic information from our Windows computer to the New Relic's log API, and they will be the CPU percentage, memory percentage. I know that these things can be achieved by just simply installing one infrastructure agent, but the goal is not about the data what we are sending. The goal is that how can we develop our own log API. Okay, not log API, how can we develop our own log agent for our New Relic in order to send any information, whatever we want, we can send it. Here just for an example I am using this CPU percentage and memory percentage, these things. Okay, and maybe some RAM info and tech stack. We are going to use Python. So let's get started. So before that, let's fetch the New Relic API key, because we are going to need the API key. So simply we will go to New Relic, we'll log in with our account, we'll go to our profile, we'll go to API keys here, and we'll click on create key. Here we'll choose our account. Our key type should be ingest, because we are going to insert something into the New Relic, and let's call this log API key, and we'll click on create key. As you know, earlier, even after creating, after 1 day or 2 day, we were able to copy the API key from here, but recently we got one update in New Relic that after creating you have to immediately copy, because this is the last time you are seeing this. It will not be visible to again. Okay, so we copied our API key. Now let's go to our favorite editor, Visual Studio Code. So we'll create a folder, we'll call this my log agent. Okay, and we'll open Visual Studio Code here. Cool. So here I have increased the zoom size so that it will be easily visible for you guys. Okay, so let's create our main file, and we'll call that my log agent .py file. All the codes what we are creating, it will be visible. You can find the code on the GitHub link that I'll be pasting on the description. So let's see what we are going to use. So we have to make API requests, so I'll import the Python request library. Now as I said that I'll be fetching some information of my Windows computer. As this is Windows, we would need the ps util library, and of course we would need time for whatever data we are going to send with log API. We have to inject the time from our own. Okay, that is a mandatory step. And we would need JSON, because as we are doing some post call, because we are updating some database. In this case this is New Relic database, so we have to make some post API calls to the log API. And we all know that whenever we are doing any post request in Python, JSON module is mandatory in order to convert our Python dictionary to the normal JSON format, which is acceptable by the APIs. Because of that reason we are doing this. Okay, so first let's write a code to fetch the Windows information. Okay, so we'll call this def fetch win info. Okay, in this case, as I am fetching information from my computer, so I will not be adding any arguments. It's not required. So what are the informations we are going to fetch? First, CPU utilization we are going to fetch. So how to do that? As we know that we have the POCT library. Inside POCT library we have a method called CPU percent. Okay, now here we have to give one interval, and it should be here in our case 1 second. So this value is going to give us the CPU percentage. Let's save it in a variable called CPU utilization. Okay, now for RAM information, we are going to again use the POCT library, and we'll call this method called virtual memory. Now as you can see, I have not written this as RAM utilization, I have written RAM information, because from this information we are going to fetch the percentage value. So I'll create another variable, and in RAM information we'll fetch the percent value. Okay, now I'll create an object inside which we are going to store all this information. So we have total 3 info. One is, we'll call this CPU percent, and it will be our CPU utilization. Another will be RAM percent, it will be our RAM utilization. And for some additional info, let's take RAM info, and it will be our RAM information. To be in safer side, let's convert everything into a string. Because as we know, after querying in New Relic, if we want to do any mathematical operations, we can use the numeric function to convert the string value into numeric. So that's completely fine. Let's add some more information, like, or maybe we will add it later on. As of now, these 3 informations are fine, and we will return the win info. Now before writing the remaining code, let's test our code. So I'll do fetch Windows info or fetch win info. Let's call our Python file. So as you can see, current CPU percentage is 10.7%, RAM percent is 63, RAM info is this. Okay, so we are able to fetch the information. Now it's time to send the data to New Relic. So let's write some variable log API URL, whatever we got, and we would need the API key, and API key also we received. No problem, I'm exposing the API key, but after our video I'm going to revoke it. Now eventually we have to make the post API call. So for our API, let's define the headers, that what are going, what the headers are going to be. First header is API key, and it will be our API key. Another will be the content type, and it's application/JSON. Now we need a data, or I'll call it log data, what we are going to send to New Relic. Now it's very important to understand how to use the log data. As you can see, I have already imported the time, so we are going to use the time thing for our log data. So it should be like this: one value timestamp, which is mandatory, and here we are going to send the time in epoch format. Okay, but it should be a string. So how can we make sure that it should be a string? So we'll bind everything with str function. Okay, then we'll write int in order to change the time to epoch format. So time dot time method. Okay, 1 minute refill is done. Let's add a field called message, and we can write Windows information. Now the log. Now the thing is that what should be the log? Here the log will be, let's write host name, and I'll call it Cheyenne PC. And sorry, I click on some other key, I believe. Next information will be the CPU utilization, and for CPU utilization, as we know, we have a function which returns an object. So let's call this function fetch Windows info, and from that function we are going to use the CPU percent key. Let's use RAM utilization, and it will be the same function. Sorry, let's copy the entire expression, and here we'll put the RAM percent key. Let's call this RAM information. It will be the same thing, but the key will be RAM info. Okay, and for log, as we know, whoever works with log on regular basis, we have something called level, and we'll call this as info, because these are just normal information about my computer. Okay, and now let's do the API call. So requests our library dot post, because we are doing a post call. So we have the URL, and the URL variable is log API URL. Fine. Our headers will be the headers variable, whatever we have created, and the data will be our, we'll call the JSON library, and we'll call that dumps function in order to convert this dictionary, because this is a normal Python dictionary, but our API cannot take the dictionary as its input, so we have to convert this in a JSON. For that we are using the dumps function, and we will pass the dictionary through that dumps, and then we can write if condition that if the, okay, I made a mistake, whatever it is going to return, we are going to save this in a variable called response, and we will be writing a condition that if response.status code, okay, or as we are inserting some data, so let's do like this: if response.status code, convert this in a string of the first element is equal to 2, because in case of whenever we are inserting, log API will return 201 code. Okay, but to make sure that our request is successful, we are just comparing the first value of the response code. If it is 2, that means we can write that successful, and or else some error occurred. Okay, so we have written our code properly. Now let's run the code. So Python mylogagent.py. Okay, so it says that successful. So let's go to new relic. Let's refresh it once, and we'll go to our query builder. Okay, and here we can write from log select star since 5 minutes ago. Cool. As you can see, we have inserted one data. Now if I click on this, on the right side you'll be able to see all the information whatever it has shared. As you can see, we have the CPU utilization, we have the host name, we have the level, we have the message, we have the RAM information. Ignore these two, these will be important. These are something which is generated by New Relic, but as for our observability purpose, we can leave these things as it is, because these are something custom. whatever information is there, whatever information we have inserted, we are going to use them only. So no need to worry about these two keys. We have the RAM and we have the timestamp whatever we have inserted. Okay, so it's working fine. Now for one agent to work properly, here if you click on run, then only it will run, or else it will not run, right? So we have to make it run automatically. So how to do that? In this case, this is one method. Okay, we'll leave this as it is. We'll create a while true loop. Okay, and we'll insert the entire main code block of sending data to New Relic inside the while loop, and this while loop will run every 5 seconds. Okay, now it will keep running and keep sending data to New Relic. So we will just test it out. So let's run the code. So every 5 seconds it is going to print successful. Okay, one iteration done. So as of now we had only one set of data, right? So let's go for another one. Okay, it's keep running, let it keep running. Now if I run, okay, actually it auto refreshed. I did not even click on run. Now here you can see every time it is calling the function, and the percentage value, the CPU utilization value is changing, right? 13, 6, 47, 14, 23 and so on. So it will keep running and it will keep updating the log table. That's it. So this is today's content. So here today we learned how can we write our own log agent if any particular information, whatever, following this code. I will put this code on my GitHub and I will provide the link in the description of my repository. So this log agent helps us in various ways. Here we have the full control. Whatever data we want, we can send it to the New Relic, but we have to make sure that we have to add some decent pattern. Okay, so because it's a log, right? So we should have a timestamp. We can have a message, or we can have, like, you can have any other thing also, but here we should have a log key inside the main object, and that the value of that log key should be another object where we will add all the necessary information whatever we need. Okay, so that's it for today's video, and thanks for watching till last. Stay tuned for upcoming tutorials. Thank you.